Hi guys. Hope everybody is doing well. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Just need to make sure that my mic actually is working. Hi Bob. Perfect. Oh, brilliant. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, let me know what you guys have been looking forward to today or looking at in terms of trading. I'm actually on a Bitcoin chart at the moment. Just basically looking at this little situation here in terms of technical analysis. So I just thought I'd jump through a few of that. Obviously, Blueberry have added some more crypto assets and also sort of weekend trading within the crypto assets. So if you are a crypto enthusiast and trader, then there are lots of new cryptos that you can look through to trade. So if you are a sort of CFD trader of the movement of the cryptocurrencies, then loads more available to you right now. I've been checking out Bitcoin. I've been looking at the Binance coin, BNB. We've got Solana as well on here as well. Not a lot of data to go off on the higher time frames yet, but we've got some lower time frame data, including sort of the 4-hour time frame, 1 hour. Got that data coming through. We've also got Ripple on here as well. Whether you're into cryptos, I don't know. Let me know. We've got Dogecoin, Cardano, and just been basically just looking at some of these cryptos because I am expecting a bit of a bull run to come for the cryptocurrency market in the near term. While we are technically in a bull run now, especially if we look at Bitcoin here, market is very much in a bullish period. Looking to basically see when the turning point is. So I'm looking at this weekly chart. And obviously, when we've had these bull runs in the past, there's been moments where we have a little bit of a pullback before seeing a sort of continuation. So, you know, like this bull run back in 2021, nice little pullback for a few weeks before seeing a continuation to the upside before we kind of pull back into those kind of areas of support and resistance. So looking at this area here, and I'm looking to see when that bull run will potentially continue in the market. Now, looking at the daily chart, obviously we had a breach below these kind of previous lows or significant lows. So I'm basically looking for the idea that maybe we might trade a little bit of this sort of range area. So we've got obviously highs up here towards the sort of 63k handle, and then we've got the sort of all-time highs towards that sort of 73, 74 k handle as well. And but yeah, basically just looking, you know, don't know if anybody's interested in looking at Bitcoin like this, but I can see there's a potential pattern forming. You know, we've got this kind of downward play here in terms of sort of the head and shoulders pattern. So if I just grab this kind of area here, let me just show you where that neckline of the pattern is. It's between these two swing highs. Let me just get a pen tool in here. And we can see that here you've got this potential head and shoulders play coming out. So basically, is that going to be the sort of left shoulder of the move? Sorry, the right shoulder of the move, I should say. After this left shoulder, and then you've got the head, you know. Bob, is there any possibilities that you guys are going to connect with TradingView just so we can do trades easier rather than on MT4, MT5? I know it's been in the works for a while, Bob. There are just some things that we've got to do, I think, before we can get towards sort of TradingView and whatnot. We know that it's definitely an ask from a lot of our traders, so that feedback always kind of goes back. So I know that we do have people working on it. It's just taking us a while to do. I can't make any promises that it will be on there, but I know that it's something that the guys are working on. So hopefully that does come through. Hi, 𝖢𝖥𝖣yiq. Have you done any research on the zone set by the initial balance of the day? Is that according to Bitcoin, or is that a different asset you're looking at? Initial balance, usually I would kind of refer that to sort of volume trading, looking at sort of different volumes around the initial balance. So usually it's a certain period of time on the open. High the low of the day, high the low of the first hour of the day. Yeah, I've done a lot of initial balance stuff in the past. I used to use it on Euro futures. Yeah, it's definitely useful. I always find that levels that have significance are like that. I like the Asian range as well, especially when it comes to sort of FX markets. The way I kind of look at markets, and I talk about this quite often, I always kind of look in volume, and I think of periods of consolidation. So let's say there's a period of consolidation, whatever time frame that may be. It can be higher time frames, lower time frames. What I look for initially, or what that tells me, is that there's been a period of volume here, right? So all I look for is if price, let's say, breaches out of that period of volume, what do you usually look for? Okay, so what most traders would look for is a pullback to that volume and then a continuation of a move to the downside, essentially, regarding this to be a downside move for now. But really, there's a high probability that price comes back to that volume point, right? So this level here, I think, can be a really good opportunity for traders. So the way I see it, a little bit like an initial balance zone. So let's say your initial balance has been fairly tight. Okay, this is what I used to find anyway. When my initial balance was quite sort of tight in terms of low ranging, but lots of sort of movement between that, I felt that buyers and sellers were in agreement at that point. And then when we got sort of a break and retest, then it worked quite well. I found that if my initial balance was quite large in scale, okay, so if you had like a really high, so let's say the hourly candle, like you're saying there, was quite sort of large in scale relative to the price action, so relative to the ATR or whatever, I found that it had less of an effect in your sort of trading day. If anything, the market kind of used to sort of stay within it, or not kind of peak out of it too much. So if you're going to look at initial balance, I like the idea of looking at it in terms of, if you've got a very tight sort of initial balance, then that's something that can be worked with quite well. Bob, what are your thoughts on EU? Yeah, let's go take a look at it. Volume equals market participants, area of interest to go long or short, increased probability to get volatility towards given direction. Yeah, so the way I see it is just, I like to look at volume in terms of accumulation. So for instance, just looking at this chart here on a daily chart, I can see that there's been consolidation in and around that area there. That to me is an area where buyers and sellers have been in agreement. The sellers have won, price has breached that level. But I find that there's value in trading back to that volume. And, that's what happens in that case, and takes out the other side of it. But yeah, let's go and have a flick over to some other charts then. Actually don't know. Let's have a little flick back. This is the dollar index. I haven't used these charts in a while. I was basically on TradingView earlier, and then my charts just stopped working. So even I like to use TradingView for live streams, especially because it's easier for you to see the prices that everything's working at relative to MT5 and MT4. But we're going to have to just make do today with what's going on. Let's go have a look at EU then. Let me just go up to a weekly time frame here. Look, for me, price is in that sort of downward trend, isn't it, on a sort of weekly perspective. I'm just going to break this down with you guys right now. If we take a look at it relative to sort of the move that we're in right now, I would say that the market has been making lower highs and lower lows, but we're in that secondary phase in the market. Now, when we go into this secondary phase, what I look for is for the market to make higher highs and higher lows on the candlesticks, okay, which is what we're in right now. And in that phase on a lower time frame, we'll be in an upward trend, right? And that's what we're seeing now. This is from a swing trading point of view. If I go to the 4-hour time frame here, just delete some of this analysis. It's old analysis. If we look at the sort of trend right now, it's still to the upside. Okay, the market's making higher highs, higher lows, and recently we've just come back into this area here, which again is almost like an area of consolidation. And now we're starting to see a little bit of a breakout of that. So for me, I still feel like we're still within that phase in the market of that sort of pullback phase. Where that ends is going to be the question. So, we've almost got this kind of this high up here where we could look at. But let's go break this down actually a little bit better than that. Let's go to the weekly chart. Again, I like to follow the weekly chart. I think it's a good sort of chart to follow. But we've got to recognize what kind of phase we're in the market as well. So let's have a little look at those highs in there. And then I'm going to grab a couple of other levels as well. So I'm just going to use my trend lines for now just to highlight those key highs and lows just very quickly. Okay. So I'm looking at this period here and I'm saying to myself, where could euro dollar kind of head towards? Well, we've got these kind of swing highs in here as well. So let me just change some of the parameters. So what I like to do is just go 108.36. So I'll probably round that up to 108.50. See how that sort of looks there. Perfect. And then we'll go here. It's a lot more work on MT4, MT5, granted. Okay, I've got two trend lines there. 109.50. And then down here as well. 106.20 is, I like to round up to the quarter number there, 106.25. Okay. And I'm going to leave that one at the bottom because we don't necessarily need that right now. Basically, what I'll do, don't want that to be lime. Let's just do something like this so that we can mark these out. Sorry, I'm having to do fresh analysis on these because I haven't updated them in a minute. 108.50. 108.25. 106.25, sorry. So this is the way I see kind of euro dollar right now. The market is obviously evidently in the downward trend, but we're in that sort of pullback phase right now. So I'm looking to see where that potentially could change, essentially. If I go down to a daily time frame here, looking at this sort of area where that sort of selling took place initially, it's all the way back up in this zone, this sort of 108.50 zone. So, I don't mind the idea of price kind of coming up towards this 1.0850 in order to look for that sort of short position again. What I am wary of is the trend that we are in. And, we have to see more evidence first before we're kind of really on the short side of this market, I feel, because like I said, we're in that kind of pullback phase in the market. Not really seeing too much here in terms of any kind of downside bearishness yet. So if anything, I'd be short term looking for sort of euro dollar on the long side right now. You've got the kind of retest of these previous highs as well. So looking at that 4-hour time frame, could this be the start of another sort of bullish run here? So let's go and have a little look. So let's go to a 30-minute time frame. And again, you know, think about it in terms of where's those key consolidations been, where's the market gone to, right? So look at that. So you had a consolidation here, okay? And I would say quite a large consolidation up in this area here, okay? Now, the market has tried to breach this consolidation, okay? And then look what's happened now. We've had a very large bullish move all through that period of volume. So that accumulation there, all a large area of volume, price has broken through that. Now we have another big area of volume right up here, large area of volume. What is the market likely to do if it breaches this? Is it going to start trending within that and go to the other side of it? Potentially. So I would be looking at this area up in here as a potential for euro dollar to reach, especially because we are breaching these kind of key areas. If I just look at that high there, we've breached that high. Okay, so that's that sort of top of that consolidation area in here. It's a bit of a messy one, but the next sort of highs are around this area, in around that point. So I feel that maybe from an intraday perspective, there could be an idea of trying to trade back up to this area, especially if we get accepted back within that volume point. Okay, so if I'm wrong, then, you know, anything below sort of 1.071s, I'd kind of change my opinion back on that one. But for now, we've breached back above the 200 MA here, back above the 50 MA, back above that consolidation zone where volume is. And yeah, that to me looks pretty solid for a little bit more upside on euro dollar, maybe something like that. Hopefully that made sense. CG, hello, afternoon, John. Afternoon to you. Hope you're doing pretty well. The stream's not going to be too much of a long one today. I've got a little bit more analysis to do for Blueberry, so I'm not going to be on here for too long today. So yeah, find me any markets that you want me to have a little look at. I'm going to take a look at cable. Obviously, we've had some data drop today. I actually did a video just kind of discussing all my thoughts about sort of cable on the sort of long-term perspective. So if there's any kind of interest in looking at sort of the inflation charts, unemployment charts, then you can head over to that video. But for now, you know, I'm going to keep this super simple on cable. This is the area where price has been attracted to the most. We've been sort of fighting with this area for a while, and we tried to breach it after the Bank of England announcement, which was fairly dovish considering the fact that we had 2 members now talking for a rate cut out of the 9 MPC members. So there could be an idea here that if we breach this level, we can see some downside. But at the moment, it's the dollar, isn't it? The dollar is holding everything up. If I just go flick over to the dollar index, you know, everything is being held up here by the US dollar right now. We're not really seeing any kind of bullishness from this market. There's a lack of data in the US as well this week as well. So I'm not surprised that the dollar's pretty flat and that other currencies are taking a little bit of an advantage from that. But if we just go flick over to cable again, sorry. If we look at it from a weekly scale, very similar to euro dollar, isn't it? We've kind of broken to the downside here. Got this kind of bearish candle forming in here right now. But yeah, I don't really, again, it's kind of waiting for that momentum shift to change. If I look at the weekly, we're still technically in that bullish phase on the secondary phase there. We're not really in that sort of moment just right now. In fact, the place where I would look for some interest is back up here. You know, we've got at least some support and resistance going on at that point, and that could be a good area to go and sort of target. You know, so keep an eye on that. Again, I feel like there's volume up here as well. So where volume's resting is a magnet for price, in my opinion. So, you know, that to me makes a lot of sense right now. You know, if we had, you know, if we breach into this level and we don't see much buying beyond those points, then we could come back and test that volume and break it to the downside then. So, yeah, I like the idea of that. You know, really good examples of that are here. If we look left, there's consolidation through there. And look, we breach it. Everyone's screaming for shorts. We then go take the other side of it, So keep that in mind as well. I just think that we're in that sort of pullback phase right now. We need some kind of catalyst to get that dollar strengthening again. You know, I've seen some rumors again now that they're talking about hikes again, which was pretty much off the table last week after the the NFP figures. So yeah, we'll see what happens on cable there. Too quick. I've been taking some solid longs on DAX over the week, even into major resistance. I tried selling at the highs, expecting a massive shift down and got chewed up, but went long again today. Went good. That's good to hear. I'll go take a look at the DAX in a second. Dixie had bad employment numbers, but I think the market will ignore and continue to strengthen overall. I do think if we think about it in the sort of bigger picture, obviously, inflation has been a little bit stickier in the US, and I do feel that maybe the US are going to hold rates higher for longer compared to the other central banks like ECB and the Bank of England. So I think from a longer-term fundamental play, I do see downside. Obviously, that doesn't help people who day trade, but yeah, definitely something to consider. Let me see if I've got the DAX open on here. Might not. Let's have a look. I mean, the DAX is in a very similar boat as everything else right now, isn't it? Especially in terms of the FTSE, you know, really like the idea of the FTSE moving higher as well. You know, usually this time of year, stocks do seem to sort of underperform a little bit. But you know, FTSE has been fairly bullish, and I don't really expect that to change anytime soon. Although, like I said, May usually is typically a bad period for stock markets. But, you know, again, you've got that kind of play here where inflation's been lower. That, you know, does help with regards to sort of consumer spending. And then you've got the factor that the ECB might cut rates. And I think, obviously, the DAX would be welcome to that happening. Yeah, I mean, for me right now, it's kind of how do you get involved with that from a swing trading perspective or even a sort of day trading perspective. I think we had a really nice, obviously, turn of this downward move here after that kind of trend changed and started to breach higher. So I'll just look to see where new lows come in. You know, if the market kind of puts in a new low, then that's a good place to start looking to kind of enter long positions on, very similar to what we had here. Market puts in a new low, you know, we come back down towards that area. That's a good place to be long. So, you know, that's changed quite dramatically there. That kind of reminds me a little bit of the DAX the Dow Jones setup that we were talking about in the past. You know, I like the idea of being a buyer of the Dow down in around this 37K. I did buy it. I bought it, sold here back at this area of resistance, which was these kind of highs in here, and then haven't touched it ever since. And now we've breached higher. You know, I'm just looking again, waiting to see if there's any kind of opportunity to be a buyer again on some kind of pullback. You know, perhaps something like that. Maybe, you know, we're kind of setting some lows in here at the moment, aren't we? So maybe some lows towards that sort of 38, 39K level could be good to look for some buys. But I think stock markets could be coming back towards those highs. I think the difference you've probably got there, again, is, like I said, in terms of central bank rhetoric. So, you know, stock markets might get a little spooky on, especially US stock markets, any kind of inflation pressures might get a bit spooked by that. So you could probably expect a little bit of downside to some stocks in that case. But in terms of the ECB, they're looking to cut rates. So anything that supports that, the DAX would probably do pretty well. Too great. How do you navigate assets that in price discovery zones breaking past real old highs and high lows, now creating new all-time highs? To be honest, I'm very much a person that will take profits at previous highs. So I like the high to be printed. So for instance, here it's very similar to, actually, we're talking about this on gold when the gold was rallying and it was hitting into all-time highs. And I think a lot of people would just would think, oh, well, I'm just going to hold on to gold for as long as possible. But investing and trading are two different things. You know, trading, you're looking to make money on the short term. Investing is definitely like a buy and hold situation. So you've got to look at them in two different ways. You don't want to trade a CFD product like an investment, in my opinion, because you are susceptible to the downward moves. Whereas investing, you've got your investment head on already, that you're going to wait for the long-term moves. So, you know, for instance, here, let's say, you know, when price was breaking into sort of the all-time highs here on the Dow, you know, if traders were kind of holding that through there, expecting the Dow just to go rocketing on, I think that's a little bit naive. What I would look at is, okay, well, if price is pulling back, you know, at least I know that we have a printed high there. So I would happily take profits off at that point. There's no harm in taking, you know, two positions. And what I tend to do is take two positions, and I will leave one running at break even and close the other one at the previous high. That's how I work it anyway. So for now, like, I'm looking at the Dow here, and we know that there's this high around that 40K mark. So that should be the overall target. Okay. If we were to breach that level and breach beyond it, you know, we don't know where price is going to go. There's no evidence that has been left. And that's what a chart is, really, isn't it? It's just evidence of what has been there in the past that we can then have a look at going into the future. We don't know where price is going to go, but if we can see it in front of us, at least we have that. So I think you've got to look at it in two arms. I think if you think that the stock markets are going to rally and you want to be in the long term, maybe put an investment head on, go and invest in different ways. If you want to try and take advantage of short-term price movements on a daily basis, then you can sort of trade the CFD of that, or trade a product that will be more sort of in and out on lows and stuff, if that makes sense. Let's go take a look at the oil market. Let's get rid of all these. I'm just going to put a new fresh template on there, so I've deleted all that. Yeah, so oil markets still pretty down. Still pretty down at the moment. So, you know, there could be some price discovery a little bit higher up. Again, you've kind of got this zone towards the 82 levels, 83s through here. Obviously, price has come back down, tested this zone right now. So there could be a good chance that price continues to fall towards the lows of this area in here. So around about that 76, $70, what's that, $75, $79 area. Really hard to see to see the numbers there on MT5. So I apologize for that. But yeah, maybe oil price is gonna move a little bit lower here. We'll have to wait and see. You know, maybe we're going to see a bit more of a punch back down to the sort of 75, 80s, maybe these lows that formed back in February. You're a legend, John. Thank you for doing these lives. Much more hands-on community with the community in this setting. Wish you all the best and see you on your next live. Thank you too. Thank you for your questions today as well. I really appreciate those. It's good to communicate. Good to have conversations. Bob, you guys also provide indices, correct? Do I need to make a new account for trading indices, or can I just use my existing account? Mind to elaborate in it, please. Yeah, you should be able, if you've got your Blueberry account, you should be able to trade indices. Just go to File, New Chart, and you've got your Indices tab here. If they're not showing up, all you need to do is make sure that you're on the latest version of MetaTrader. You can do that by going to Help, go to Check for Updates, and click on to the latest release version, and then just accept it, and you'll have your updated MT5. And then all you need to do is go to View, Market Watch, and if there's no symbols here, so let's just say, for instance, you've just got Forex there, like that. All you need to do is right-click, click Show All, and that will give you, I mean, you've got a whole list of products there that you can look at, including individual stocks as well. But you just need to go to File, New Chart, and then Indices, and then come to the minor index, major index, and pick which one you were looking at. I mean, we were looking at the Hong Kong's HK50 for a while, weren't we? Where's that gone? That's how long I haven't been on, or I haven't updated my charts on here for a little bit. File, New Chart, we'll go Indices, HK50. Look at that rally. Let's delete these lines off. That's pretty much done exactly what we were talking about. You know, where we were down in here, and I was like, this just looks cheap. And then we looked at that potential breakout. So looks like we've seen a decent bit of upside here to the Hang Seng. So, you know, I'm expecting that to continue, definitely. Well, not definitely, but there's a good option here that if that just continues to rally, we could see a move back towards this sort of 22 level. That could be definitely one to watch. I mean, you've got a little bit of volume that's been built down there now, so that's good because, like I said, volume will bring price back. Okay, so I like the idea of price coming back down towards this zone in here. If we breach that, then again, we'll see how price reacts. You know, maybe buyers are going to sit below that level to grab a little bit of that liquidity volume, and then try and push back towards those kind of 22,500s. So I'll keep a little eye on that one. I might set a little bit of an alert here. Let's see if it can come back down into this volume zone. See if we can get some kind of continuation of that. Sorry, guys, as well. You can probably hear I'm a little bit ill at the moment, so that's why I'm not going to do too much today as well. No worries, Bob. Let's have a little flick over to dollar CAD. I like the idea of dollar CAD moving back a little bit. And again, you know, just looking at the charts, I always try and think of it in terms of volumes. Always, you know, you've got this area down through here, big area of volume before a big push away. That's obviously sort of large, you know, buyers coming into here, and price came back down to that point. We started to see buying again, but look at that little burst of volume there. So this is, if you're looking at sort of day trading moves, and you're looking at sort of areas on a day-to-day basis that you can look to sort of move towards, you know, I like the idea of price coming back into this area, right? And sometimes as a trader, you'll be like, right, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until price comes back down to that point before making a decision. Well, we can see here, price is kind of, pulling back down towards that point anyway. So what we can try and do maybe is look at this 15-minute time frame, have a little look at some opportunities to trade towards this zone. So, if I want to narrow the zone in a little bit and want to be super cautious, we've got this zone in here. Okay. So you might just want to look for some lower high opportunities. I mean, look at that. Another lovely zone to work with in there. So essentially what we can do is have a little look at moves down into this level here. Okay. And if the trend changes, then we have another point of interest, which is all this volume as well. Sorry for the bad handwriting. But for some reason on my Epic pen anymore, there's not a pen. Oh, there is. I was just being blind. I couldn't see it. But yeah, that's I like the idea of that. I like the idea of $CAD into this level here. Maybe you could look at lower time frames on that. You got this 5 minute in here. Maybe we'll see a little bit of a pullback continuation. Maybe a little bit of a move from that high down to those lows there, or maybe even a breach, lower high, continuation down. So now that we're out of that zone there, we could be coming back to this zone that developed back in here. I like that a lot, to be honest. I do like that a lot. Cable looking a bit upside. Yeah, they're looking a bit all bullish now, aren't they? Like, here you go, euro dollar. Are we going to go visit the other side of that volume there? I think that's definitely something to have a little look at. Dollar Swiss also putting that. Now, dollar Swiss is an interesting one. The currency strength meter this week was telling me to short this market. And I was looking at it thinking, well, where am I going to short to, or where's a good area to short to? I'm a big fan of highs and lows, big fan of those consolidation zones. So there's a potential opportunity to maybe trade it back down towards these kind of swing lows down in here. Or ideally, look at this big zone of consolidation that formed. That to me is an area where I really like to get involved with the market, in terms of moving down towards that point. So that's on a daily chart. So yeah, just basically looking at opportunities, maybe short dollar Swiss at the moment. I wanted to see 0.91 tested. So we came very, very close to that. I think we might have actually touched it. Let's have a look. No, we didn't touch it, but we came very close. I have an alert set at 0.91, so we're a pip and a half away from testing that. So, I like the idea of potentially looking at for a bit of downside on dollar Swiss as well, especially down into this little level here. So we'll have to see how that one kind of works itself out. Maybe if we go down to sort of the 15-minute, we can see that we're changing trend down in here, breaking these swing lows through there. So all these lows now could be target points on the way down. So yeah, maybe see if we get a bit of a lower high situation here, and this could be the point where we start to see a little bit more downside in the move. I like the idea of building positions as well. So if we do get a little bit of a move up and then a change in the 5 minute here, that could be a nice area just to add in, and then have a little look at some downside there. It's nice to see that we're breaking those lows now. That looks pretty good to me. Right then, guys. Hi, right guy. Sorry, right guy. I was just literally about to say I might leave it there. So I was really sorry that I'm going to cut this one a little bit early. But yeah, I got a little bit of a cold at the moment, and I've done a lot of talking today. So I might leave it there. But if you want me to analyze something quickly, I'll do that. I will do that for you. S&P, let's have a little look. The VIX is down as well. That's really good for stocks. You know, you want to see the VIX on its way down if you want to be looking at your stock market. I just like this potential setup on Bitcoin. I know I probably shouldn't, but by that 60K, can we? You know, there's some rumors as well that we're going to see Ethereum ETFs by the end of the year as well. So, you know, we're going to see a similar thing in the Ethereum price where ETFs come in and then we get a little bit of a jump higher. Let's go 7 to 750 on that. I'm just going to hit these up with a bit of a marker. 7 to 750. Here as well. 60K. Do we have any trend lines? Not really. But yeah, I just like that play there. Whether that's going to be a head and shoulders pattern, I'll have to wait and see, I guess. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to save my voice. Yeah, I will catch you next Tuesday. It is Thursday today, isn't it? It is Thursday today. So I'll catch you next Tuesday. Thank you to everybody that joined me. Thanks for all the questions as well. Really appreciate all the questions. And I'm gonna shoot off there. Right guy with a last minute dip. Kiwi dollar to the upside, 6001. Have we got Kiwi on here? I don't think I've got Kiwi on here. There we go. 61. Yeah. 6013. I mean, it looks still bullish to me, you know. Again, if we look at it from a weekly perspective, market's in that secondary phase, you know, it's in that secondary phase, so it's in that pullback phase. So I think as long as your sort of daily, your 4 hour is still kind of pushing higher, you know, we've breached that trend line resistance now. You know, are we going to come and try and see that 60 sort of 8 handle, 60750, where we had that sort of large move to the downside? You know, that's a potential target for buyers. So yeah, I like that a lot. Like the idea of potentially seeing that move there as well. Okay, have a little look at your hourly. Yeah, it's very similar to the other majors that we've discussed. You know, if you're looking down here, maybe a bit of a pullback continuation. That area there could be good. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, thank you for everybody that joined me. Really appreciate that. Thanks for all the comments, questions. Hope you have a great rest of your trading day and tomorrow. Hope it all goes well. And I will catch you on Tuesday. Cheers, guys.